What's going on, everybody? On this Monday, February 2nd, 2025, my name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority. I don't like the way this hat fits. Give me a second. Thank you so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. Sorry, that hat doesn't fit right, so we'll put on a dirty one. Whatever. February 2nd, 2025. I didn't throw the hat for like some symbolic reason. I just didn't like the way it fit. Thank you so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live here. Rumble.com/LFATV. Republicans need to wake up after a calamity ensued over the weekend. After a calamity ensued over the weekend that spells disaster. Disaster. Like Armageddon, like the end of all things for the Republican Party. Some people need to figure this out. Maybe they don't care. Maybe this is what they were aiming for the entire time. But the math in the House just got a lot smaller. A lot smaller. As a matter of fact, it couldn't possibly get any smaller. And it's only going to get smaller. That's right. What I said may have been a contradiction, but it's not. We're going to do some basic math today. Addition and subtraction. And we're going to tell you about how Republicans need to wake the... Because if they don't, impeachment of Donald Trump could come a hell of a lot faster than any of us are planning, particularly as we move into the midterms. We're not even going to talk about what kind of a bloodbath the midterms are going to be if people don't wake up. Now, there are some people out there who are going to be all sunshine and roses. Everything is good. The economy is booming. The markets are up. You're getting giant tax deductions. Prices are going down. Gas has never been cheaper. We're getting deportations. The elections aren't showing that. Elections are about addition and subtraction. They are about adding one or minusing another. That's it. That's all elections are. And elections right now are spelling disaster for Republicans. Before we get to that, guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling here today. Before we get started, guys, do me a favor. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Oh, well, what are we doing here? Hit the wrong button. Hit the wrong button. Loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. You guys can use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's the best way to support this show and everything we've got going on. If you've already got everything you want, which I know you don't have because you don't have your FAFO hoodies, which you all should be getting because they're fantastic. Pick those up today. Go to loudmajorityusa.com and use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. So, let's do some math, shall we? Let's do some math. Let us play a little game. Currently, right now, in the House of Representatives, it is 218 to 213 Republicans over Democrats. Now, on paper, it would seem that's a 5-seat majority. Kevin, why are you freaking out? We got 5 seats. No, we don't. No, we don't. After a massive win in Texas over the weekend, Christian Menefee, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly, wins an election for the U.S. House, narrowing the GOP's slim majority. So let's play a little game here. Because I'm really starting to get annoyed. Okay, let's pop this bad boy up onto the screen. So, basic numbers here. We're going to break down this party affiliation here. As you can see, 218 to 213 with 4 vacancies. As you can see, the 4 vacancies are Sylvester Turner, a Democrat of Texas who died last year. You've got Mikey Sherrill, who resigned to run for governor of New Jersey and won. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned, and Doug LaMalfa died earlier this year. The Doug LaMalfa seat is the one I want to talk about. Why? Why, Kevin? He's a Republican. Well, we're going to explain this to you. With the 4 vacancies that are happening right now, as you can see at the top, the Sylvester Turner seat has been won by the Democrat Christian Menefee that I just said. So let's pop our little graph back up onto the screen. Now we're at 218 to 214. Holy shit, that just got a lot slimmer. Oh boy. Okay, so now let's break down the way House seats are called. Special elections called for House seats. Let's ignore the Marjorie Taylor Greene seat. That's a safe red seat. We can put that into the Republican category whenever Brian Kemp is deciding to call that election. Usually that happens 90 days after a resignation. So he's got to call the election, and then the special election has to happen. So let's put that into the 219. Now we are at 219 to 214. Very, very good. Okay, 219 to 214. Now, let's do a little bit more math. Let's look at let's look at the Mikey Sherrill seat. Mikey Sherrill, Democrat of New Jersey. That's a safe Democratic seat. Mikey Sherrill will call that election. A Democrat will win it. You wouldn't give up a seat that you knew was going to be competitive for a person to run for governor. That's a Mikey Sherrill seat. Now we're at 219 to 215. 219 to 215. The Doug LaMalfa seat is incredibly important. Why? Because as you can see, Doug LaMalfa, Republican of California. You know what that means? That means Gavin Newsom doesn't have to replace the seat. He just doesn't have to call an election. He just doesn't have to. Whoops, there we go. Our majority is now down to 2. Because it is not the majority of the seats, with 218 being what it is. It is the majority of the people seated in the House. That Doug LaMalfa seat doesn't get filled. When they fill, I want you guys to hear this. I want you to listen to me, okay? When they fill that seat in Texas, which they're going to have to do at some point, the guy won the election. Do you know what the House majority is? You know what Mike Johnson's dealing with? One seat. A 1-seat majority in the House of Representatives until the Marjorie Taylor Greene seat is filled. 1 seat. 1 seat stands between the way things are now and Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. Do you understand what that means? Let me put this into a broader context for you. The average life expectancy in the United States of America is 79. There are currently 4 Republicans older than that. There are currently 5 Republicans sitting in the U.S. House of Representatives who were born before World War II ended. You know what those people do? They die. They die a lot. You know why? Because they're really, really old. Old people die. The new Republican motto moving forward is going to be, holy shit, please don't die. That is what is standing between the way things are now and a Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. That's what's happening. And I want to be clear about something. That's assuming that we win the Marjorie Taylor Greene seat, which I want to be very clear about. If the special election that took place in Texas over the weekend is any indication, we might not. We might not. Yeah, got that right. Democrat Taylor Raymond flips a Texas state Senate seat in a district that Trump won by 17 points. That's right. He didn't just win it. Trump won it by 17. Trump won it by 17. This guy won it by 14. That's a 31-point swing. Not in New York, not in California, in Eastern Texas. That's right, in East Texas. Democrats notched another victory, this from CNN, in a special election during President Trump's second term, flipping a Texas state Senate seat in a district Trump won by 17 in 2024. Taylor Remmett a Union leader and Air Force veteran, defeated Trump-backed ally, I'm never going to be able to pronounce this last name, Lee Wambengans, I'm not even going to try it, in a runoff in the Fort Worth area. You're right. So let's put this into context, okay? Let's put this into context. You know all the people on the show Landman, the show we all love, Billy Bob Thornton and Allie Larder, the show that's taking over the world, the anti-woke show that fights back against the climate retards. You know that show? Yeah. You know how they always go to Fort Worth? Yeah. So we're not exactly talking about, keep Austin weird. We're not talking about the deep blue area of Austin, Texas, where the freaks with the blue hair hang out. No. We're talking about a city that still runs cattle down their main road as a tourist attraction. Yeah, that seat flipped 31 points. 31 points. And I heard everybody and their mother last year. Oh, no, Kev, don't worry. Abigail Spanberger was supposed to win in Virginia. Mikey Sherrill was supposed to win in New Jersey. We all knew that New York City was going to turn blue. I mean, we didn't think it was going to go to a Muslim communist that hates money and America and apparently doesn't know how to shovel the streets. No. I was told not to worry, guys. Don't worry the midterm. If leadership in the Republican Party doesn't get their heads out of their asses, this year, very soon, is going to be a bloodbath, is going to be a Newt Gingrich-style wave for Democrats. Am I Chicken Little? Am I screaming the sky is falling? Yes. Do you know why? Because the sky is falling. I look up, the sky is coming down. And so many do-gooders out there went, don't worry, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine in the Senate. We might be. We might be. But I promise you, this time next year, 11 months from now, when we're swearing in Speaker Hakeem Jeffries with a 40-seat majority, I don't want to be the one. Look, there is nothing on this planet I like doing than being right. There's nothing. And that's why I'm right so often. Because I don't like being wrong. Luckily for me, I'm not most of the times. If the Republican Party does not figure this out, lean red seats are going to go blue. Let's pull up the Cook Political Report and play a little game here. The toss-up seats, the Republican seats that they have that they consider to be toss-ups. You want to see where this is going? Arizona 1, Arizona 6, California 22, California 48, New Jersey 7, New York 17, Iowa 1, Iowa 3. Why do you think Trump was campaigning in Iowa last week? New York 17. Some of you watching, you know who you are, know who I'm talking about. Virginia 1. Michigan 10, an open seat. The bloodbath that's going to happen because of this is a catastrophe. Unless people wake up. Unless they realize that if you run a campaign that got Ronald Reagan elected, if you run that campaign, you're going to get smoked. It's not going to be close. Everybody told me not to vote the Kev, don't worry. Texas is redistricting. Yeah, it's 5 seats. Indiana Republicans decided not to redistrict. That's a -4. Virginia Democrats have decided to redistrict. That's another 3 seats. New York is trying to redistrict Nicole Malliotakis out of her seat on Staten Island. If we don't wake up and begin swinging first, we are... Now, why does this matter? Because... yeah, you're a podcaster, Kev. What do you know? No, I run campaigns for a living. And I can see, look, I'm not a weatherman. But if I'm looking out my window and I can see storm clouds coming in, I know it's probably going to rain. I don't have to be a meteorologist to figure that one out. Now, luckily, some Republicans in flippable seats, AE, how's it going, are starting to realize that maybe they're going to have to do things a little bit differently. They're going to have to take advantage of opportunities that present themselves. They're going to have to embrace the activist class, the people who will go out on the ground and do the damn thing. If your Republican committees are anything like ours up here, they're aging out, and there's nothing wrong with that. It is embracing the young. It is embracing the new. It is taking advantage of social media availability. These things have to happen. Because why? Because people refuse to accept the fact that there are not 77 million Republicans out there. There are 77 million Trump voters. I could stand on top of the Empire State Building and yell it as loud as I possibly can, and people don't seem to understand it. They don't seem to get it. Sure, Jack Ciattarelli in New Jersey got 250,000 more votes than he did 4 years ago, but lost by 7 times the amount. Sure, I don't know what I'm talking about. Sure, a Texas State Senate seat just moved 31 points. If a meteor had landed in that Senate district, it would not have been as catastrophic as what just happened. Seriously, like Bruce Willis couldn't save what just happened. But I'm Chicken Little. The sky is falling. No, we're going to be fine. I got news for you, okay? We might be up right now, but it's the bottom of the ninth and the bases are loaded. Are you willing to take that chance? Are you willing to just hope and pray that something happens, or are you willing to get active? Are you willing to get active in your local community? Are you willing to give up your Saturday and your Sunday to go out and campaign for somebody that you believe in? Are you willing to take that sort of time? Because if you're not, we are going to get our asses kicked. We are going to get our asses kicked from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, from Bangor, Maine, right the way down to San Diego, from Miami all the way up to Seattle. And if people think I'm wrong, I want you all to know something. In 2022, the downstate of New York is what saved this country. That is an objective fact. That is a mathematical fact. The downstate of New York and the seats that we were able to flip with many activists out there. What Sean and I built, what a lot of you helped build with the loud majority, is what made Long Island be the bastion of conservatism that it was. With congressmen like Anthony D'Esposito, with he who shall not be named, but definitely saved the country in 2022, George Santos, with people I'm not that big a fan of, like Mike Lawler, with people I like Mark Molinaro. If those seats didn't flip, Democrats keep the House and continue to push through the Biden agenda. But why? What did we do differently? We got out there. We got active. We didn't ask permission. We just did things. You have to be that leader in your local community. I don't care if you live in the panhandle of Florida where you're in a Republican plus 30 district. Go find somewhere that needs your help. If you want to get involved, I will find you someone in your local area that is worth helping, or activists who are doing the right thing. Because if we do not read the tea leaves on what is coming down the pike, we are going to get smoked. We are going to get our asses kicked. And every vote counts. There is no way, if you live in a blue area, to account for the outward migration that has happened since the last midterms. There's no way. There's no way. Lee Zeldin lost by 330,000 votes. Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida won by about 1 million votes. How many of those votes were ours? That launched Ron DeSantis onto the national stage. That launched people in South Carolina. That helped Dave McCormick win that Senate seat in Pennsylvania. New Yorkers who fled. There is no way. There are people watching this right now who came to all of our rallies in 2020, all of our rallies in 2021, all of our rallies in 2022, who now live in a different state. Those are votes that are gone. And if the Republican parties, it doesn't matter where you live, I'm not talking to anyone in particular, if the parties do not get out of the 1990s, there is going to be a bloodbath later this year. A bloodbath. President Trump is already at a disadvantage right now, knowing that the president historically loses the midterms. It almost always happens. I think the last time it didn't happen was Bush in 2002, but that was after 9/11, so let's pray nothing like that happens. Republicans have put all their chips in one basket with what the big, beautiful bill is going to offer. I don't know if it's going to be enough. So it's going to rely on you. We don't need to have a Tea Party wave across the country in a backlash to Obamacare. We don't need a Newt Gingrich-style contract with America. We don't need that. We need a few motivated people in strategic spots all over the country in swing districts who are willing to put it all on the line to save the House. I can promise you this. In September of 2020, when I met Sean Farish, I had no idea what was to come. I had no idea that we would be the people who put that useless sack of shit, Kevin McCarthy, into office, into the speaker seat, gave him the gavel. He didn't do anything with it, but at least we had the majority. At least we were able to put some kind of a check on Joe Biden and his preposterous administration. I had no idea that we were going to do that. I had no idea that the movement that we created was almost going to get one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life, Lee Zeldin, into office. Someone in the Twitter chat, the House is not worth saving. So turn the show off, dipshit. To turn the show off. Because we're about action on this show, not tweets. We're not about talking. We're about out there doing the work. If we don't change, I know that a lot of people are frustrated. I know that a lot of people are pissed off at Pam Bondi and pissed off at the administration that we haven't gotten the arrests that we were promised, that we haven't gotten a lot of the things that we were promised in this administration yet. I can promise you that if Hakeem Jeffries gets the gavel, it's going to get so much worse. It's going to get so much worse. And all the progress that we have gotten to up until this point will be done. Many of the deportations will be stopped. Funding will be cut to things like DHS and ICE. Taxes will go up. The deficit will continue to fall. Well, rise, I should say. Things are going to get exponentially worse unless we get off the couch and get involved. You need a clearer picture of what's at stake here. I'm living it every single day. I'm living it every day. I'm going to give you a clear contrast of what I could have been living under and what I am living under. I could have had competency. I could have had morality and logic and reasoning and care. Instead, I got political posturing and eyebrows. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, here's Jeremy.
Hey, everybody. If you're not familiar with, then let me introduce to you Armor Colostrum. Now, I didn't know what colostrum was up until a few years ago. I'd never even really heard of it. And then my wife turned me on to Armor Colostrum. And what colostrum does is it helps regrow your hair. Not going to lie, that's the reason that I started looking into it. But then I started noticing some other things that I could benefit from. I used to get acid reflux very badly. I used to bloat very badly. It felt like I was 10 or 15 pounds heavier than I was until I made Armor Colostrum a part of my everyday schedule. And now things have changed so very much. Let me introduce to you what Armor Colostrum actually does and what it looks like. In a study measuring immune cell response to toxin, Armor Colostrum performed 32% stronger and faster than other colostrum companies. 400 plus bionutrients activated in your life, in your body, to help regrow hair, strengthen your gut health, regrow your nails, toenails, and fingernails healthy, get rid of fungus, stop bloating, and more. And now you can get yours right now for up to $18 off each and every purchase at tryarmra.com. Promo code LFATV. Click the apply button once you've entered the code and watch your discount fall off. That is tryarmra.com/LFATV. Order now.
So I'm going to show you guys a clear contrast between what we could have had if we had worked a little bit harder, if we had a little bit more organization, if we had been welcomed in, what we could have had. Here's Lee Zeldin talking about accountability for the California wildfires and the things that he can do as the EPA administrator to circumvent Gavin Newsom leaving these people quite literally out in the cold.
This needs to move at Trump speed. The debris removal was moving that quickly when President Trump was first sworn in office. He brought EPA in. We completed our phase 1 hazardous material removal in less than 30 days. President Trump gave us 30 days to get it done. People said it was impossible, but we managed to get that mission accomplished. Army Corps comes in. They complete their debris removal. SBA comes in. About half of their disaster loans, over $3 billion in 2025, directed towards these LA wildfire victims. Administrator Loeffler will be with me on the ground on Wednesday. We'll be meeting with these local leaders. President Trump, a week ago Friday, signed off on an executive order requiring some action on the part of FEMA and SBA. SBA already acted with a new regulation that they've been implementing to empower these local residents and business owners. We're going to see how to implement Trump speed more on the ground, working with the locals. The federal model worked in the immediate days and weeks after President Trump was sworn in office. But gosh, to be here 1 year later, after the 1 year anniversary, and so many people still haven't been able to rebuild their lives, President Trump's frustration is high. His patience has been worn thin a long time ago. He's heard from these local residents and businesses, and he's ready to blaze through whatever obstacles are left there on the ground locally.
Now, look, I'm happy that the people of California are actually having someone in the EPA bypass bullshit regulations so that they can be able to build their homes again. I'm really happy. But we could have had that here in New York. Instead, what do we get? We get garbage piling up. We get communism everywhere. This is New York City right now. Look at, this is, let me, do I have this here? Let's pop this up. Yep, here it is. Here's New York City right now. Cars still snowed in. Garbage lining the streets. Everywhere. Garbage everywhere. This is week 2 of communism. Here we go. Let's play a little game. The Big Crapple. New York raises a stink over trash buildup as limited collection continues 7 days after the storm. That's on the east side, where people have money. These photos are piling up everywhere. Here we go. Here's Queens. You got a little Manhattan. You got a little Queens. No big deal. Of course. Here we go. Look at that. Not a big deal. Just walking along. And you know what happens when garbage piles up that high? You get rats. You get giant rats. Big ass, the size of dogs, rats. But is our governor focused on that? No, she's focused on not enforcing immigration law.
You're not using our local police. I need them to protect the communities and not have this distrust. And this is what we're hearing, that people are not distinguishing between local police. And we try so hard here to have a positive relationship with our communities of trust. And I want my police going after the murderers, the rapists, the gun traffickers, being available for emergencies. And if they're off, they're being deputized by ICE under these agreements that just a few of our counties are doing. They're being distracted. And I do not want that. And I'm not going to be supporting that. And we're going to change the law in the state of New York.
That's because no illegal immigrants live in Buffalo, sweetheart. They're all in Queens and Brooklyn and the Bronx. But then again, you're not from here. You're from Eastern Ohio. You're from a place where apparently it's cool to stand shirtless in the middle of a parking lot and jump through a table. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Buffalo. I'm just saying, have you been there? Ever? Why would you want to? If that's what it's producing. Shout out to everybody from Buffalo. I know there's some normal ones up there. I've met all 10 of you. That's what we get. That's the difference between people getting involved, between the activists and the next gen and the party and the leadership creating one fist instead of operating independently. And if we don't do that, we are so from sea to shining sea. This is more of a PSA than anything else. Than a news show today, because this is incredibly important. Guys, I mean this. There are 5 members of the Republican House of Representatives who were born before the atomic bomb was dropped, who was born while FDR was president, who are serving right now. If one of them dies, and Mikey Sherrill calls a special election for her seat that's going to stay Democrat, you're going to get Hakeem Jeffries as the speaker. That's not an opinion. That's math. It's just math. And you want to tell me that the sky is falling? Yeah, it is. It is. Unless we wake up and we change course. Can anyone even tell me who the head of the RNC is right now? Can anyone even tell me? I don't even know what his name is. You got Michael Watley, the former head of the RNC, who's currently running for Senate in North Carolina. He's down by like 30 points. In North Carolina. Let's see, polling. Let's pull this up. The latest polls from the Times. Yep. TIPP Insights has the former head of the RNC down 24. Emerson, which is a little bit better of a poll, has him down 5. Harper, which is a Carolina polling company, has him down 10. That's the former head of the RNC. So what chance do regular people have? Unless they are willing to change. Unless they are willing to think outside the box. There's going to be a lot of governors up this year. Every congressman. A lot of state houses are on the line. And unfortunately, oftentimes it feels like I'm just yelling into the wind. I don't want to be here the day after Election Day telling you I told you so. I would rather come on this show the day after Election Day, like I did 2 years ago, or 2 elections ago, hungover, with a pounding headache from spraying champagne all over a bar in Lower Manhattan, which is what I did. I was still sticky from the champagne, like I had just won the damn Stanley Cup. That show hurt. Caused me physical pain. I would love to be there. If I'm being honest, I might have still been drunk, but whatever. Those election days are a lot more fun. And I don't want to see the other side of it. I don't want to feel what I felt in 2022, sitting at Lee Zeldin's election night party with like 12 beers around me, thinking to myself, how the hell did this happen? I thought we had it. This isn't doom and gloom. This is a warning shot. We lost a Senate seat in Fort Worth, Texas. What chance do we stand in LA? In suburban Chicago? In suburban Minneapolis? In swing states everywhere? In Rome, Georgia, where that Marjorie Taylor Greene seat is. Because if Kemp calls a special election and the Georgia Republican Party picks the wrong candidate who doesn't inspire the base, who doesn't reach out to the activists, who doesn't get the proper boots on the ground they need, and we lose that seat, Mikey Sherrill calls an election in New Jersey, that's the ball game. I said, right now we're up, but the bases are loaded in the bottom of the ninth, and there's no out. And if Republican leadership don't get their heads out of their asses, 2027 moving into 2028 is going to be a nightmare. Guys, we'll be back in 1 second. Before that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com and use promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD, for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. Use that promo code LOUD at checkout. So what do you guys think? What do you think? Do you think I'm doom and gloom here, or am I just doing basic mathematics? What up, Sky? What up, TPH? Kiss, how are you? Nancy, what's going on? Say hello to everybody in the chat. Kathy Jean, how are we? Oh, there we go. Election fraud. Yeah, that's it. That's it. When we lose, we're just going to yell election fraud. I hate when people do that shit. Guess what? Guess what? There was fraud in New York in 2022. And you know what we did? We beat it. We outvoted it. We pulled asses off of couches and put them into voting booths. Don't come in here yelling about fraud, because that's bullshit. That's an excuse. That's an excuse. Like I said, there is nothing I like more in this world than going, ha, right again. I hope after Election Day I can come in here and admit I was wrong. I hope I can admit I was wrong. But I just don't think I am. I just don't think I am. Guys, before we keep rolling here, head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA TV related. Check out the LFA TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over at LFA TV. That's the way we keep the lights on over here. That's how we keep this little guy fat and happy right here. And we need Kevin fat and happy. Because, well, maybe not fat, but happy would be nice, too. So, guys, head on over to Loud Majority, LFATV.us. It's LFATV.us. Look, I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but we are in the midst of a government shutdown right now. I know that none of you noticed because none of you work for the federal government, and this government shutdown thing is beginning to be boring. But Something else some of you may have noticed if you are involved in the markets, as I certainly am today, the Dow being up 500 points with the NASDAQ going up more than half a point. Same is the S&P 500. What does that tell me? That tells me that markets are responding to these government shutdowns in the way they should, that they're having absolutely no effect on the markets whatsoever, because apparently now we just govern by continuing resolution and never by actual appropriations bills. So I'm happy to see that the markets are finally starting to respond to the fact that there is a big nothing burger happening in Washington, D.C., because Democrats decided to partially shut down the government over ICE funding that they already voted for. Blah. Those are the people who are going to take over unless we remove head from ass. Unless we remove head from ass. Frustrating. My friend hosts a podcast called, what is it? Shocked but not surprised? Surprised but not shocked, something like that. Disappointed but not surprised. I had a feeling that's just how I'm going to feel come election day. But, you know, one day we'll be listened to. I'm not sure what day that'll be. One thing we could do, we can continue to point out the fraud all over America. Republicans could get behind people like Nick Shirley. They could get behind people like Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson, who has decided that he's now going to California to expose what is the biggest fraud in America that we've known for quite some time, and that is the California homelessness fraud. Gavin Newsom, of course, has spent billions and billions and billions of dollars getting rid of homelessness in California, only for those numbers to double. And nobody seems to be asking any questions whatsoever. Nobody. But here's Benny Johnson out in L.A.
Welcome to California, the homeless capital of America. Nearly 200,000 homeless people reside in the Golden State.
It's way worse than Minnesota.
This was bought with taxpayer dollars.
Yeah. Obvious fraud. What the hell is going on?
Mayor Bass needs Skid Row for her to get federal money. But the reality is we could fix this if we want to.
I can't believe it. I can't believe that never occurred to me.
Welcome to California.
We just had a whistleblower from inside of the homeless industrial complex.
So you believe homeless shelters are being used by illegal aliens?
So they're rallying protesters to come and surround us.
This is what LA looks like everywhere. Not just this street, every underpass, every ditch, every overpass, every single intersection looks just like this. You have been lied to. Gavin Newsom, the governor of this state, says that homelessness is down, that he's fixed homelessness, and he's setting records to make the state better. This is a lie. Here's a police officer who is trying desperately to engage with these homeless drug users in their filthy hovels that seem like they've been here for years. This is a choice by the leadership of California to allow this to happen in your neighborhoods. The politicians are handcuffing the police officers, not allowing them to enforce the law. They're choosing this.
It's a choice. It's a choice. The homelessness industrial complex is without a doubt the biggest fraud in America. That's happening every single day in the state of California. And it's right out there in the open to see. Right out there in the open. Here was Benny Johnson again.
They promised the state of California they'd build hundreds of units of affordable housing by converting old motels into homeless shelters. What did they end up doing? Stealing that money. Tens of millions of it went to pay for luxury goods, shopping sprees, expensive cars. It went to credit cards for Cody Holmes, who has now been arrested and indicted by the feds for wire fraud. And that's just one example. There's a lot more. Let's go. Welcome to the Weingart Center, a nonprofit that takes hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars from the people of California and delivers homeless skyscrapers at a cost of $800,000 per unit, including lavish amenities like gyms, cafes, dog parks, city views, and art studios. The homeless in California live better than you do. The Weingart Center is at the heart of a federal investigation into fraud overpayment on properties for homeless shelters. A real estate developer bought a former senior facility for $11 million using a fraudulent loan. and then they sold it to the Weingart Center for $27 million the same week. That's a $16 million profit, leading to their CEO and real estate director to be placed on leave. The absolute hellscape that is downtown Los Angeles. Drive through it. For every one open store, there are 10 that are closed, and that's because the homeless industrial complex has hollowed out downtown LA. There's literally nothing left. Some of these beautiful buildings, old theaters, some of the most gorgeous architecture you've ever seen left to rot and be graffitied, and that's because of fraud like the homeless industrial complex provides.
Now, Benny Johnson's going to continue to release footage like this with whistleblowers from inside of California. As I continue to say, and I'll keep saying it on shows like this, support independent journalists that are out there on the ground. America doesn't have a spending problem. America has a fraud problem. America has a waste problem. There's a meme going around the internet right now that's pretty funny. Actually, let me see if I can. Do I have it pulled up here? Of Elon. This is funny. You guys want to have before I do that, something just popped up. I got to show you this. This is what local press do. The Long Island Press. Over 40 residents demonstrated in front of Tom Suozzi's office calling for an end to ICE. 40 residents. 40 residents. Damn, I hope they don't hurt themselves. Hope they don't hurt. I mean, sure, I put 6,000 people in a parking lot for Charlie Kirk, and the Long Island Press was nowhere to be found. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But back to the point. America doesn't have a spending problem. It has a fraud problem. If we would just stop these sorts of things from happening, maybe California wouldn't be in the tremendous debt that it's in. Maybe it wouldn't have a water crisis. Maybe it wouldn't have a homelessness crisis. If we were actually allowed to institutionalize the people that are clearly mentally ill living out on the street, maybe we wouldn't have the problems we see. Maybe we wouldn't see things like we saw in New York over the course of the last frozen week, where a woman, and this is a real story, froze to death on a park bench in a park. The next day, children went to go play in the park. All they saw was someone sleeping on a bench. Unbeknownst to the children playing in the park, she was dead. She was dead. And why was she dead? If there's one group of people that know how to survive in America, it's the homeless. They're actually very resilient. They're very good at it. I'll tell you why. Because the homeless tend to go into the subways when it's really cold, because it's warm underground. It's warm in the subways. You ever been on a New York City subway? You know it's probably the hottest place on planet Earth. It's probably because it's the closest thing on Earth to hell. But they can't go down there because of how bad the crime is. So instead, to avoid the crime on the subways, people are freezing to death on park benches where children play. Billions and billions of dollars spent with a problem that's only getting worse. Here's another one. Let's talk about something I think we can all get on board with. Hospice care. Hospice care. Very critical. There are a lot of old people in this country with no one to take care of them, with young people that can't afford to take care of their parents in the short term at their end of life. I have no problem helping those people. We're the richest country in the world. One would think we would be able to help people that are in a lot of trouble. But the question, of course, remains is where does all that money go? Where does all that money go? Well, it turns out almost all of it goes to one place. And when I say one place, I mean a 2 square mile radius in L.A.
One doctor billed the government $120 million in a single year, claiming to oversee 1,900 patients. With almost 2,000 hospice agencies, LA County has more than 36 states combined and 30 times more than either Florida or New York.
18% of the whole country's home health care billing is coming out of Los Angeles County. How is that possible?
And take a look at this map, a cluster of 287 hospice providers in a 2-mile radius, some in strip malls, unmarked buildings, even a wrecking yard and vacant lot.
All of it is just paperwork. I could fill that out in Kazakhstan if I want and get a hospice license waiting for me.
That's right. One whistleblower from inside of the Department of Human Services in California, speaking to Fox News, talks about how you could fill out a hospice license in Kazakhstan and then have it waiting for you when you get to America. And I'm sorry. I think I have been incredibly fair. Some would say too fair to the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi. Sure, arresting Don Lemon was hilarious. It really was. I laughed my ass off. I'm going to keep laughing my ass off because I don't like Don Lemon. Someone who okayed this crap has to go to jail. That's the only way to stop this from happening again. If people just lose their job but get to keep their pension and keep their medical benefits, then what the hell is to stop somebody from doing it again? Jail is the only deterrence. And look, I know they're inundated. Oh, sweet God Almighty. We got to hear about the Epstein files for the 400th time already. Either kill these people or shut the fuck up about it. I'm not even going to cover it. Go read it yourselves. There's people who have turned their entire careers into reading what's in the Epstein files. Go listen to them. Either kill them or shut up about it. Sorry about it. The F-bomb kind of slipped out there. I'm overhearing it. There's real problems in this country that can be really fixed. But last night we got to see the best among us. We did. We got to see the people in this country that are just better than we are. And of course, I'm talking about the people at the Grammys. I'm talking about the people at the Grammys. I got to see Bad Bunny yell about how he's not a savage. No one said you were. You're just an asshole. I got to hear Billie Eilish talk about stolen land. I got to see that chick who sings the Pink Pony Club song show up to the Grammys with a dress being held up by her nipples. Yeah, that's real. That's a real sentence. That's something, you know what? I had to see it, so you guys have to see it too. Here you go. You know what? I'll pull it up. Y'all ready for this? Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. This is a real person. This is a real human being, and your kids are listening to this girl's music. Those are our cultural betters, everybody. These are the people that we should be listening to about all things culture in America. I got to hear one of the richest people in America, Billie Eilish, even though I can't name a single one of her songs, talk about stolen land. Well, I think, Billie Eilish, I think you should give back your house first. I think because you're better than we are. You're just better than us. You should lead the way and give back your home on stolen land. Of course, you won't do that because you live behind gates. But, you're kind of fun in your giant tuxedo. I got to see Heidi Klum show up looking like a single-serve piece of cheese at the Capitol in the Hunger Games, which is basically what it was. The only person there that made any sense, that seemed to make any sense, was Jelly Roll. Can't even believe that's a real sentence. I'm saying the only person with any sense is a guy who put a couple hundred tattoos on his face. Also, shout out to my friend Emily Austin, who sat through the Grammys. Sat through that. She got to go. Emily's a friend. She got to have a lot of fun with that. But she was the only two people there that had any sense whatsoever. I would play a clip from Bill Maher where he actually made some sense about the Grammys, but every time I do, Time Warner hits me with a copyright violation because, they suck. What the hell's going on here? Is this some breaking news real quick? Oh. No. You want some good news, though? I got some good news for everybody. Oh, yeah, let's not forget Trevor Noah, another immigrant who takes every opportunity imaginable to shit on this country that made him unbelievably famous despite having very limited talent. very limited talent. I mean, we say all the time that like Stephen Colbert and John Oliver spend all their days shining Jon Stewart's shoes. I guess if they're shining the shoes and Trevor Noah is softly caressing his back, he decided to shit on the country that made him unbelievably wealthy and unbelievably famous. But you know what? Let's go to some good news. Because some of you, many of you, all of you, let's be honest here, will not be watching the halftime show at the Super Bowl next week. Of course, you won't be watching it because half of it's going to be in Spanish and the other half is going to be performed by a band who still sings songs about masturbating and antidepressants, despite the fact they're 53 years old. It was cute when you guys were 25, but it's not so funny anymore, Billy Joe Armstrong. Luckily, Turning Point USA comes through in the clutch once again and announces they'll be putting on their own halftime show featuring Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, Kid Rock, Gabby Barnett. I don't know who that last one is, but it'll give us something else to watch. Turning Point USA has announced all the performers at the All-American Halftime Show. Thank God. Andrew Colvett said, Andrew Colvett came out to the All-American Halftime Show as an opportunity for all Americans to enjoy a halftime show with no propaganda other than celebrating faith, family, and freedom. Very nice. I'm very happy we get to see that, because if I had to listen to Bad Bunny yap on in Spanish while wearing a dress and listen to Billy Joe Armstrong, like whatever bullshit political statement he's going to put out. Remember, guys, 55 years old, still singing songs about antidepressants. If you've been on antidepressants since 1994 and they haven't worked yet, maybe it's time to try something else, Billy Joe. Just a thought. But please, let's hear what you have to say. Guys, it's 4 o'clock, so make sure you listen to what Hannah Faulkner has to say. Coming up next right here on this network. Make sure you guys share this video out all over the place. We are live every day at 3 p.m. I hope everybody liked my aggressive ranting today. I will catch you all back live tomorrow. Until then, everybody, stay loud.